Welcome back to the Crime Documentary File. Today, we will explore a case that happened in 2014 in Taichung, Taiwan. On April 27, 2014, the local police received a call from a man named Lan. Mr. Lan said that his son was missing. The missing person's name is Lan Kunyu. 36 years old, he is the owner of a factory and a very diligent person at work. Normally, he would be busy all day. But on April 27th, even though it was late, the factory staff still did not see Kunyu come. The factory had some work that needed him to decide, but because they could not contact him, they had to go to his father to ask if he knew where he was. At first, Mr. Lan simply thought that maybe his son went to negotiate a job or attend a party, so it was normal that he could not contact him for a while. But after calling many times without his son answering, in the evening, he hurriedly contacted his son's girlfriend, Huang Jingwen, to see if she knew where he was. Jingwen was also very surprised when she heard. She said that she had not seen Kunyu since the evening of the 26th, still thinking that he might be busy and staying at the factory. Hearing this, the whole family anxiously searched everywhere for Kunyu's whereabouts. But until noon the next day, there was still no news. Only then did Mr. Lan realize that something might have happened to his son, so he hurriedly called the police station to report the case. After receiving the report, the police immediately went to Kunyu's factory to investigate. Through the investigation of the factory staff, the police learned that on the 26th, the boss was busy at the factory until dawn the next day before driving away. The police thought that it was after work, he might have gone home, so they decided to check the surveillance cameras at Kunyu's residence. As a result, they actually saw his image. The camera showed that at around 3 a.m. on April 27th, Kunyu drove into the underground parking lot. At that time, he was wearing a blue and white striped shirt and had a bag on his shoulder. The next video was recorded from the elevator camera. In the video, Kunyu can be seen yawning and then calmly pressing the button for the 9th floor, where he lives with his girlfriend. The elevator door opened, he walked out, and that was the last image of him recorded by the camera. After that moment, no other camera in the building could see his image. After determining that Kunyu had exited the elevator on the 9th floor, the police quickly arrived at the apartment where he lived with his girlfriend. They searched everywhere but found no trace of him. In an effort to find out the reason, the police talked to Jingwen, Kunyu's girlfriend, to see if there had been any recent conflicts between the two that caused him to leave. When asked, Jingwen appeared to be in great pain. Tears fell as she confided to the police that Kunyu was the person she loved the most and that she had not been able to eat or sleep in the past few days, only tossing and turning, worrying about her lover's safety. When the police asked about the day Kunyu went missing and whether he had shown any unusual behavior, Jingwen said that he had only said that he was going to meet a client at the hotel that night. At first, she did not think much of it, guessing that he had probably drunk too much and stayed overnight before going straight to the factory. It was only when she received a call from his father that she was shocked to realize that no one had been able to contact Kunyu. Jingwen also revealed that Kunyu had bipolar disorder, and she was afraid that he might have done something stupid because he could not handle the pressure of work. With this information, the police went down to the underground parking lot to search Kunyu's car and investigate the surrounding area. Throughout this process, Jingwen followed closely. She was so tired that she fell asleep on a nearby motorbike while the police were working. Judging by her exhausted appearance, it could be seen that she had not had a full night's sleep in the past few days. Although the police repeatedly advised her to go home and rest, Jingwen insisted on staying. She said she needed to know all the news about Kunyu as soon as possible. After hours of meticulous searching, the police still did not find any significant clues. Kunyu's car was still sitting in the parking lot, not moving at all. Since the building had many elevators with different exits, the police checked the cameras of all the elevators, thinking that Kunyu might have used another elevator to go down. But after reviewing all the footage from the past few days, they did not see any image of him leaving the building. This incident left the investigators extremely bewildered. How could someone disappear without a trace? Knowing that Kunyu was a businessman, the police began to expand their investigation to his business and social relationships. The results showed that the company Kunyu founded 2 years ago was developing very well without any disputes or financial difficulties. Emotionally, he and his girlfriend Jingwen had lived together for many years. Jingwen was 11 years older than him, they had a sisterly relationship, and their feelings had always been good. When the investigation into the relationship did not yield any results, the police decided to go back and carefully examine all the surveillance cameras in the building. This time, an unusual video caught their attention. At around 5 p.m., 2 days after Kunyu went missing, the elevator camera captured the image of a suspicious figure. It was a person wearing a red shirt and a helmet, and from the way he moved and looked, the police determined that it was most likely a woman. It is worth noting that this person was dressed unusually. Her entire body was carefully covered, with a thick coat regardless of the weather. While the people around her were wearing short-sleeved shirts to keep cool, this person's outfit became even more prominent and suspicious. What was more special was that this mysterious woman continuously used the elevator for 4 to 5 hours, and each time she appeared, she carried many bags of different sizes. Through monitoring the surveillance camera, the police recorded that this mysterious woman used the elevator 5 times, transporting a total of 11 bags of goods. However, because this person covered her entire body carefully, they could not determine her identity. During the investigation of this period of time, another detail attracted the attention of the police. In addition to the mysterious woman in red, they also discovered another person who frequently moved many bags of goods using the elevator. This person appeared openly, without any concealment, and the bags they carried seemed lighter. It was Jingwen. What was remarkable was that the police noticed a suspicious coincidence. Jingwen and the woman in red were almost identical in height and build. This discovery raised a question for the investigators. Could the mysterious woman in red be Jingwen in disguise? If they were the same person, why did Jingwen constantly change her outfit, sometimes secretly disguised, sometimes appearing in public? If they were not the same person, then who was the mysterious woman in red? Because previous investigations failed to uncover any other suspects or clues, Jingwen suddenly became the focus of police attention. Through investigating her background, the police learned that Jingwen is 47 years old this year. Her birth name is Huang Mai-ha, born in Fujian. Her life has experienced many ups and downs. When she was young, she got married in China and had 2 children, a boy and a girl with her first husband. Her first marriage ended in pain when she discovered her husband was having an affair and decided to divorce. In 1996, fate brought her to know a Taiwanese man 9 years older than her through a marriage brokerage company. The following year, at the age of 30, she got married for the second time and moved to Taiwan to live. But it seemed that happiness had not yet smiled on her. Her second marriage also did not bring the joy she expected. Her husband did not have a stable job, forcing her to struggle to take care of her life. They lived together for nearly 10 years. In April 2006, Jingwen finally received her residence card in Taiwan. In July, she asked for a divorce. Her second husband begged her, but Jingwen was so determined that he finally agreed to the divorce. With her skillful acupressure massage technique, Jingwen quickly found a job at a spa. Thanks to her outstanding skills, she soon became the best technician in the shop. In addition to her professional skills, Jingwen also had a business mind. After many years of accumulating capital, she boldly opened her own spa in Taichung. Inheriting the massage secrets passed down from her family, combined with her skillful communication skills, her shop grew more and more prosperous. Her success in business helped her not only become financially independent, but also have the conditions to invest in rental real estate. It was during this period of development that she met Kunyu, a young man 11 years younger than her. Despite the age gap, Jingwen was still very young and beautiful thanks to her ability to take care of herself. From Kunyu's frequent visits to the spa, they gradually developed feelings for each other and decided to live together. Jingwen had high hopes for this relationship. She often bragged to her friends about her young and handsome boyfriend. In order to integrate into Kunyu's family, she and her boyfriend went to Nantou to visit his parents every week. So, in the end, did Kunyu's disappearance have anything to do with Jingwen? When the mysterious woman in red was spotted in the surveillance video, the police tried to trace her whereabouts through the area's security camera system. However, due to the limited number of cameras on the street, they could only track half of the journey before giving up. The last image they recorded was of the woman riding away on a motorbike, carrying 2 large bags of things. Not giving up, the investigators decided to watch the elevator camera footage over and over again, carefully analyzing every little detail. Their patience was rewarded when they caught an important clue in one frame. At the moment the woman in red reached out to press the elevator button, 2 of her fingers were clearly bandaged. This detail immediately caught their attention because it coincided with Jingwen's injuries to those same fingers. Looking at the large and small packages in the camera, plus the injuries on Jingwen's hands, the police had a bad feeling. Could it be that Jingwen had killed her boyfriend, dismembered him, and disguised him to get rid of the evidence? With these suspicions, the police went to Jingwen and asked her if, on the second day after her boyfriend went missing, she had carried many bags of things into the elevator. What surprised the police was that Jingwen did not deny it, but frankly admitted it. She said that she had indeed taken her luggage by elevator because she was preparing to sell her house at the time, so she used a trash bag to pack her clothes and brought them to the store, intending to stay there for a while. She also said that if she didn't believe it, she could go with her to the store to check. The police were half believing and half doubting. They followed her to the massage parlor and indeed found the bags that appeared on the camera, and they did indeed have clothes inside. However, the police still felt that something was wrong. According to statistics, a total of 11 bags appeared on the camera, but only 5 to 6 bags were found at Jingwen's massage parlor. When the police asked Jingwen about this, she seemed upset. She said that some of the bags had been opened and the items inside had been taken. She also angrily told the police not to slander her indiscriminately. However, the strange thing was that through her gestures and actions, the police could not sense any real sadness and anxiety. The police still believed in their intuition, thinking that Jingwen must have something to do with her boyfriend's disappearance. At this time, the police changed their tactics and started to comfort her with conversation. The police followed Jingwen's story and talked about her feelings for her boyfriend. Jingwen said that she really loved her boyfriend and even borrowed 10 million new Taiwan dollars, about 330,000 US dollars, to help him do business. Then, they turned to talking about having children. At this moment, the police suddenly changed direction and asked, "You love him so much? Is it possible that love at its peak will turn into hatred?" Jingwen, who had just lowered her guard, was shaken by this unexpected question. Seizing the opportunity, the police continued thoughtfully. "People can't disappear for no reason. Every step they take leaves traces. Sooner or later, the truth will be revealed." For the first time, Jingwen fell into a state of prolonged silence. In the tense atmosphere, the policeman gently asked, "Do you think he's still alive?" After a moment of silence, Jingwen replied in an icy voice, "Probably dead." With just that short sentence, the solid defense wall that Jingwen had built up all this time completely collapsed. And then she confessed all her crimes. As mentioned before, after divorcing her second husband, Jingwen opened a massage parlor in Taichung. She and Kunyu met at this massage parlor. At first, their relationship was very good. Jingwen took great care of her boyfriend. When they first met, Kunyu was not the boss, but only a senior technician. Although the income was quite high, it was still very different from Jingwen's massage business. After that, Jingwen encouraged her boyfriend to start a business as a boss. In order to have the capital to start a business, she specially went to Fujian to borrow money from her father, investing 1 million new Taiwan dollars, about 33,000 US dollars, for her boyfriend. She also used her name as a guarantor, borrowing 10 million new Taiwan dollars from the bank. At that time, Kunyu promised her that he would pay her 200,000 new Taiwan dollars, about 6,600 US dollars, in interest every year. But after the factory made a profit, he did not keep his promise and always found excuses to avoid it. However, Jingwen did not pay much attention at first, thinking that they would get married sooner or later anyway. Everyone's money was the same. However, after 6 years of being together, Jingwen discovered that her boyfriend had no intention of marrying her. As time passed, Jingwen's age began to show, making them look more and more incompatible. In addition, after becoming a boss, Kunyu only focused on his career and did not care about marriage. The most important thing was that Jingwen's children from her first marriage in China now had children, which meant she was a grandmother. This made it very difficult for Kunyu's family to accept her. Kunyu told her that the family could not marry her for the time being and asked her to wait. But then, 2 years before the incident, Jingwen found out that she was pregnant. She was extremely happy, thinking that this time they could finally get married properly. But when Kunyu heard the news, not only was he unhappy, he also asked Jingwen to have an abortion. This made Jingwen realize that her boyfriend had absolutely no intention of marrying her, but only wanted to take her body and money. Thinking about this, she felt very angry. Around March and April 2014, the two of them quarreled more often. Kunyu couldn't stand Jingwen's constant urging on him to get married, so he used her job as an excuse, saying that he absolutely could not marry a woman who worked as a masseuse. Jingwen's dream of marriage was shattered once again. She felt that she had sacrificed everything for her boyfriend, taken care of him for years, been his lover, his guarantor, and lent him money for business. But in the end, she had received nothing. In frustration and anger, she made a terrible decision. On the evening of April 26, 2014, Jingwen waited for Kunyu to get off work as usual. It was around 3 a.m. the next morning when he returned home exhausted. In order to catch him off guard, Jingwen asked him if he wanted something to drink, then made him a cup of tea, secretly putting in 10 sleeping pills. After drinking it, due to fatigue and the effects of the medicine, Kunyu quickly fell asleep. At this time, Jingwen took a knife from the kitchen, knelt by the bed, and in a moment of madness, swung the knife at her boyfriend's neck. In order to avoid the blood from staining the bed sheets and leaving traces, she had already spread a plastic sheet on the bed. Thus, Kunyu was murdered while she was completely unprepared. After that, Jingwen dragged her boyfriend's body into the bathroom. In order to avoid leaving traces, she placed his upper body in a large plastic basin that she had prepared to let the blood drain out. Because Jingwen's father was a traditional Chinese medicine practitioner, she had a certain understanding of the structure of the human body since she was young. In addition, because she worked as a massage therapist, she was very familiar with the joints of the human body. She quickly finished dismembering the body. During this process, because her hands were tired, she had to switch between cutting hands, and as a result, she accidentally cut her finger. After finishing, Jingwen wrapped the body parts in clothes and put them in black garbage bags. Then she transported them down to the parking lot bit by bit. In order to avoid arousing suspicion, she disguised herself in many different ways when transporting the bags down. She knew for sure that the camera would record them, so to mislead the investigation, she did not bring the body every time she went down. There were a few times when the bags were just clothes. She even intentionally left a few bags at the massage parlor to make it look like she was moving house. After transporting the body to the parking lot, she drove her motorbike to transfer the bags one by one to a car that was parked in a hidden spot from the camera. Then, she drove the body parts up a nearby mountain to dispose of them. To completely destroy the evidence, she poured gasoline on the body and the bloody clothes and bedding and burned them, then quickly left the scene. After finishing everything, in a state of panic and the fact that she had just learned to drive, she crashed into an electric pole on the side of the road. That night, she did not dare to go home, but stayed at a hotel and hid the murder weapon used to dismember the body in a corner of the room. The next day, Jingwen felt uneasy and returned to the scene to check the situation. The result was that most of the body was still there. Therefore, she dug a shallow hole nearby, buried the remaining parts of the body, and covered it with weeds and branches. After she finished her statement, Jingwen led the police to the scene where the body was dumped. Following her instructions, the police found the burial site covered with branches. When they dug it up, they really found the remaining parts of Kunyu's body. In addition, the police also went to the hotel where she stayed that night and found the murder weapon. At first, the police thought Jingwen's motive for the crime was very clear. It was a murder for love. But through further investigation, they discovered that the emotional issue was only part of it. The other motive was a financial dispute. The police discovered that the house they were living in had a deposit paid by Jingwen, and the monthly installments were paid by Kunyu. When Jingwen realized that her boyfriend had no intention of getting married, she planned to sell the house and leave Taiwan. But her boyfriend said that since he had also contributed money, he wanted to split the money from the sale of the house. Jingwen felt extremely angry and disappointed when her boyfriend, who had been with her for so many years, not only did not want to marry her but also wanted to split the money from the sale of the house. In order to prevent the money from being divided and also to get revenge, she planned this murder. It could be seen that she had been planning this for a long time. Before taking action, she still cared about Kunyu's parents as usual, not showing any unusual signs. The police also discovered that Jingwen's driver's license had only been issued not long before the incident, and no one around her knew about it. The police believed that she had secretly learned to drive in preparation for disposing of the evidence. In addition, 2 months before the incident, she had used insomnia as an excuse to get sleeping pills from the hospital. The day before the crime, she bought a knife, a large plastic basin, a plastic sheet, and 2 10-liter gasoline cans. She also rented a car the day before and deliberately parked it in a place where the cameras could not see it, preparing for the next day's plan. It is noteworthy that before committing the crime, Jingwen was worried that if she killed someone and then sold the house, once the incident was discovered, the house would become a haunted house and could not be sold. Therefore, she decided to sell the house first. In fact, since March 21st, that is, before the incident occurred, she had already agreed on a price with the buyer and completed the name change procedure on April 14th. However, she planned to hand over the house after completing the plan at the end of the month. As a result, this case caused the house to become a haunted house after being transferred for a few days. Because the evidence of the case was very complete, everyone initially thought it would end quickly. But unexpectedly, during the trial, Jingwen suddenly changed her testimony. She claimed that it was self-defense that night, because Kunyu had used a knife to slash her first, so she fought back, and she only slashed once. However, according to the prosecution's evidence, Kunyu had taken sleeping pills when she was murdered. Later, Jingwen changed her testimony, saying that she acted rashly and had no premeditated murder plan. However, a lot of evidence, such as buying the car in advance, buying the knife and the plastic sheet, all proved that she had been well prepared. Finally, she even claimed that she was mentally disordered, possessed by a ghost, and had no control over her actions when she committed the crime. However, the psychiatric examination results showed that she was completely normal. Because Jingwen's attitude in court was very arrogant and showed no intention of repenting, she was initially facing the death penalty. However, before the sentencing, her attitude suddenly changed. She began copying scriptures in prison and wrote 5 letters of repentance to the judge and the victim's family. In the letter, she specifically expressed her wish to be filial to her boyfriend's parents, hoping that they could forgive her impulsive act out of emotion, and promised to pay double the amount they demanded in compensation. The judge determined that Jingwen was not an irredeemable sinner. It was only because she could not effectively resolve her emotional conflicts, debts, and pregnancy that she ended up in this tragedy. The judge believed that she still had the potential to reform, so she was eventually sentenced to life in prison. When this case was first announced, public opinion generally sympathized with Jingwen. At that time, everyone thought that she was a victim who had been taken advantage of and abandoned by a young man, causing her to lose both her life and her property, and only when she could not force her to marry did she take extreme action. However, through in-depth investigation, the truth shows that murder for love is only part of the case. Financial dispute is her main motive. Moreover, this case was planned very carefully. This fact makes the public sympathy for her decrease significantly. Finally, the biggest controversy is about the verdict. Many people suspect that Jingwen copied scriptures and wrote letters of repentance just to gain mercy. So, in your opinion, is Jingwen's repentance sincere or just a tactic to reduce the punishment? Please share your thoughts in the comment section below. And that's the story for today. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss other thrilling cases. Thank you for watching and see you in the next videos.